So let's start with something like, what's the problem? And I would like to start with something that is super small, something that everybody of us has and we can't live without. And it's this semiconductors or computer chips. Now, some of you might have heard of that there has been a shortage which drove a lot of business into struggles. And I did some research in the US. There were just the two biggest car manufacturing, GM and Ford, had more than 300,000 cars on stock. They were finished, but they missed these components, so they couldn't ship. And isn't it all about shipping and delivery in Agile? Early delivery, right? Creating business value for the customer. So somehow they became a victim of their current ways of working. And why is that? I mean, especially the car manufacturing, they have applied Lean, right? Or at least we would suppose so. Now, Lean in many ways is very good, but it was not the right tool in this circumstances. So as the pandemic was starting to develop, the management and people in procurement forecasted, well, the sales will drop, right? They were right, completely right conclusion. So they stopped the orders because it's just in time, so they had nothing on stock anymore. But in the meanwhile, and nobody thought about that, those chip manufacturers, and they're for the most advanced chip manufacturers, 5 nanometers, there are just 2 in the world. Right? So there's not so many you can pick from. So in the meanwhile, webcams and stuff came in the forefront of their bookings, and so the queue was longer and longer, and even if they say, oh, we did a mistake, there was no possibility to go on again. Now, why Tesla survived that much better? They also struggled, but they never stopped this strategic good and components. So a traditional car, I'm not car manufacturer, I just learned from specialists, that has up to 3,000 computer chips. So that's a standard car. Now, can you imagine how many are in a Tesla? Most likely much more, I don't know. So for them, it's a strategic component. So they never stopped that. But still, they got struggles in delivery. But their whole organization was that agile. So it was not just that they had single source suppliers, right? They had a variety of potential suppliers. That was the first thing that a lot of traditional companies don't have. We have this preferred supplier, maybe a backup, best case, but this is the lean approach, right? Nothing wrong about in the good days. So Tesla has a variety of suppliers. And on the other hand, even those started to struggle to deliver. So Tesla started to source different computer chips from different suppliers based on needs. So not the very specific solution design, and just that computer chip fits in our car. No, we have specific needs, and they were even able to rewrite the operating system for some of their, controls and so forth. So that's the level of agility that could be reached. Now, I was just wondering where Christian has these bubbles. So this is, I think it's 10 years old. We drew exactly something similar. Like currently we have these 2 movements in Agile. One is more around my personal behaviors, thinking, mindset, right? Also leadership. And the other is about scaling Agile. How can this all work for the whole company? where it makes sense. It's not a silver bullet. Now, we think we need to start talking about the next stage. And business agility, which became kind of the new term, doesn't stop at the company front door. And if you think about the impact, we could create an even bigger impact together with our partners, suppliers, even sometimes with our competitors. So, yeah, if you are not convinced yet, even Jeff says it. So, so let's go at the very other end of the spectrum. So, are there companies out there that are doing it? So, Hire is a appliances company, and it's 70 years old. So it's not a startup. There are a lot of agile companies out there that don't have the legacy, right? They could just start off from greenfield. Hire, they went through 4 big transformations in these 70 years. And the last was they were pulling down the whole hierarchy. So it's a company with 80,000, in the meanwhile, I suppose even more, 80,000 employees with 0 hierarchy. How does that work? So what they built up instead was what they call micro enterprises, which basically is just a team, a cross-functional team, end-to-end responsible for the business case that has to be self-funded, so self-sustainable. And obviously, one team can't produce a dishwasher and a fridge and the software and everything. They're interconnected with other micro-enterprises. They built more than 4,000 ecosystems around business cases. Okay. And how they started this whole transformation was with simple principles like 0 distance to the customer. We want to have that everybody in the company has a direct contact to the end user or the end customer, whoever that is. Might be an internal customer, might be an external. And this other is important, goes together with the self-funding, also profit sharing. If this is a success, everybody takes profit from the market success. Even the vendors. How crazy is that? Now, oops, that was a little bit too fast. Now, how can this all work? So what they do is, instead of having interconnecting contracts, with point-to-point contracts with all the parties, they have collective contracts per ecosystem. They're updated every other month. So they have more than 4,000 updates on the contracts, new or updated, every other month. That's the pace of the new pace in contracting. It's obviously supported by smart contracts and blockchain and whatever, but yes. Now, where is procurement in all that? Where do you think is it? There is no more the time to open up a ticket, could you please find a partner, a tool, or whatever. It became a capability in each of that teams, okay? And obviously that just works if you have all the platform information and transparency about costs, market developments, and so forth. So that's just a little bit about the introduction. What are the current challenges? Where are we heading? And it doesn't mean that you as a company need to pull down the hierarchy. We just need to be faster as our competitors, right? But from a commercial perspective, and I forgot to mention that, Hire is the most successful company in the world. They have more than 20% growth in average in revenue and profits in the last 10 years. So also from a commercial perspective, maybe we need to have a look at it. So let's go back a little bit to the Agile world. What can we do? So I picked up 3 top challenges. So first of all, who is accountable for the suppliers? Now let's simplify things. Maybe it's oversimplifying. So let's go to the basic. If you just have the one team, if your whole company is just one team, and let's imagine we set it up as a Scrum team, product owner, Scrum master, and team members. Who is accountable for the suppliers? I'm wondering. So please take your phone and don't be scared. There is no right or wrong. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But I think we all agree it's not somebody outside of the team. Do we? So why the heck is procurement responsible for contracts and the relationship with our suppliers today? Why the heck? So it's something that I would like to encourage you to start a conversation. Who should have the last word in signing the contract? Who should take responsibility and ownership to develop the partnership? It's a team of teams if it's more complex, and procurement will support us. You know, we want to be compliant. We are not legal experts. We don't know what the rules and regulations are, but the ownership should be with us. That's my belief. And the good thing is, Scrumgate says nothing about it, so assign the role to whoever you want. Awesome. Thank you for participation here. Now, the second challenge is, how do we select key partners? Now, Alex Osterwalder, I don't know why, also a Swiss guy. By the way, Mirko is not Finnish. We just had the conversation before. I'm Swiss. I had a chat with him and said, look, I love your business model canvas, but how do you find the key partners and how do you find them fast? I said, yeah, that's the biggest struggle. That's a pain in the ass. I said, well, we might have a solution for it. So we invented Lean Agile Procurement, which brings together the both worlds, procurement and based on agile values and practices. And it's that simple. We can reduce it really to the principle, just bring the right people together. So in this case, and we got famous about it, we sourced an ERP system in 2 days. Did you get a little bit of an idea? The benchmark is 6 or 12 months. So that was blowing the people away. It's not possible. Now what have we done? We have set up on the buyer side, that was Swiss Casinos, the biggest, the market leader in gambling in Switzerland. We were setting up a cross-functional team. Now everybody was like a DevOps team on steroids, because the head of finance became the product owner. We had somebody from procurement in the team, we had accountants in the team, we had somebody from IT in the team, and partially, part-time also a lawyer. So this team became not just responsible for the sourcing, finding the new partner and contracting and everything, they were responsible for the whole delivery, end to end. And the first activity was sourcing. Slightly different to usual sourcing projects. Now this is not rocket science. what is really the secret sauce is, as I said, bring the right people together. So instead of sending back and forth paperwork, tender documents and proposals, which does work if you're looking for some commodity stuff like office materials and whatever, but not in complex stuff. We all know that. There is collaboration needed. So what's the solution? What is collaboration in sourcing? How we can build trust, as Caroline said before, with a partner that is not yet our partner. We need to meet them. So what we did, we put the 3 competitors, so the shortlisted vendors, simultaneously in the same room and co-created their proposals. We let them co-create the solution design. We did the negotiations, and even we improved an agile contract. We drafted that, we prepared it. And at the end of the second day, we awarded one of the vendors. The delivery team was set up, and on the third day, they continued delivery. Why not? It could be that simple. Now, what is crucial here is we are not bringing just the commercial people together. So not just procurement, decision takers, lawyers, and sales guys, and decision takers and lawyers. They're there too. They're not so important. You guys are less important than you think. They're relevant, right? They have their role. But what we wanted, the people in the room were the people that might work together in delivery. Have you been in the situation, being in a delivery team, and somebody decided this is now your partner, your tool, and you said, what the heck? What a crap contract, what a crap tool, who did this decision? These days are over. Now you are involved. You're involved, and in this case, as we had the people in delivery there, we run a proof of concept in parallel. Why not, if they're there? Completely different example. It's a $1 billion case, public sector, sourcing new trains for the Swiss government. Current lead time, the forecast was 8 years. Sure, we need to spend so much time because, it's 1 billion. And to minimize risk, we need to have, the more specs we have, the better. So as we came in, we had 8,000 pages of specs. 8,000 pages. Now the reason we got called was that the states, who were the sponsor for that project, said, we observe a lot of overhead here and we're no more willing to pay that. And imagine if the vendors needed to read and understand 8,000 pages, they would invest 1 million just for the proposal, or even more. Now you could argue, it's a $1 billion case, so it's a good ratio. But they were really scared that nobody would take place in this tender. So we came in, and what we recognized was, the first question we asked, why you have 8,000 pages? How come? I said, well, we have no trust in the vendors. I mean, they didn't say it this directly like this, but it was between the lines, right? So it was a very solution-specific specification. Just air conditioning alone, more than 100 pages. In Agile, it would be one user story. And why is it one user story? Because we define outcome instead of the solution. Now for them it was like revolution. Outcome? Well, no, we need to tell them, right? Otherwise we don't get the right thing. So what we did, we organized a workshop with all the stakeholders. So like people, disabled people organizations, people in wheelchair, people with small kids, not 5, but Some of them have been there. People from maintenance, security, cleaning, and so forth. We invited them, bunch of people, into a train. How cool is that? Into a train, not theoretical. Let's imagine what the needs are for a train. No, let's meet in the train and let's observe what we already like, what we want to keep, what could be improved, and so forth. And within 4 hours, we had 80% of the scope covered. Could be that fast. Now, government was not encouraged enough to go the next step, take the next step and do a bigger room like we did with the ERP system. But let's imagine for a second how this could look like. So we would do a tender, this time maybe just 20 or 100 pages instead of 8,000. We would have responses, we would select the shortlisted, and then instead of asking for their proposals or just going for the paperwork, we would invite them, bringing their trains, their product, the best fitting product to our needs. And we again would walk the train, co-create the proposals, solution design, changes, so forth. So what I learned from Christian and today is that here in Göteborg we have a lot of companies around hardware and manufacturing and so forth. So I think one of the biggest challenges you guys have is the focus on the solution. Too much focus on the solution. I'm an engineer by heart. I know exactly your challenge. It's not easy. But we need to shift the focus to outcomes and leave the solution to the experts. Could be the internal experts, could be the external, or both. So, another little story is, how do we manage a partnership more agile? And before I speak about with some other stories, I would like to run this little parody. So on the left we have the sales guy or the buyer side, and on the right it's the supplier. Okay, let's hope the video.
But I can't trust him. I feel like he doesn't respect or appreciate all the things I do for him.
What? Hold on. Let's let her finish expressing how she feels.
Well, let's start by looking at the forecasts he provides me. They are extremely inaccurate. He knows. It's a never-ending headache when dealing with inventory and service levels, but he just doesn't care.
I get grief about my forecasts at every one of our meetings. Believe me, I wish I had time to provide her with the information she needs. But how about some appreciation for the revenue that I bring in, huh?
Well, how about showing some appreciation for what I do? You have no idea how complex it is to plan and manage new product introductions, distributions, procurement, and also delivering what you need so that you can focus on selling. All I'm asking for is a little more consideration, future warnings, and more accurate forecasts.
I want this to work. You know that I wouldn't be here if I didn't. I just want to make a little profit.
So it's a parody, right? And it's fun. But let's think about, how I think a business partnership has much more in common with this couple than we think. So I think just another little exercise here. How do you think is your buyer relationship? How much do you see yourself in this little video? So let me just bring up the word cloud. Don't hijack my word cloud. Yeah. Dictatorship, yeah, sometimes it feels like I'm buying, so you just have to deliver. If you think about the wording, you're just a supplier. So that's kind of down here from a values perspective. So that's why I prefer the word vendor, or even better, partner, being on the same eye level. And complex, yeah, absolutely. Super. Thank you for your input. Now, how can we manage our partnership? And sometimes people misunderstand Agile, think it's a process, it's an approach. Yeah, so there are approaches. Lean Agile Procurement is an approach. But it's much more important about the mindset, thinking outside of the box, right? Do we really need to do that? Is there another way? And an awesome example here, and that's again public sector from New Zealand, Auckland Council, they faced the challenge that they knew in advance the different shortlisted vendors have a completely different business case. To oversimplify, one was more a project-based and the other has a subscription commercial model. Now, usually we prepare an Agile contract, and by the way, an Agile contract is not just a statement of work. So now some of you might think, I have no clue what he's talking about. So an Agile contract is everything that defines the partnership. Now, I'll give you a little hint. The guys that are involved in contracts, go back home and review your NDA and compare it with the Agile values. It's most likely not on the same eye level. They have to guarantee there is a penalty if you do that, blah, blah, blah. It's not Agile. So what we are looking for is a contractual framework that is not just respecting Agile values, but is also supporting Agile ways of working. I can talk about that for hours, but I want to come back to this example here. Now, Auckland Council, so usually we prepare that. We have a draft. So in the ERP example, we had 2 days with 3 vendors to close the deal. It's not enough to understand hundreds of pages of a contract, right? So you need to come prepared. But in this case, we couldn't, because the business cases were different. So the team was kind of lost. And thanks to the fact we had a lawyer in the team, he came up with a weird idea. And I'm pretty sure Caroline will love that. He said, what if we just trust? And everybody in the team was, hang on, are you on drugs? You're the lawyer. They said, no. Look, in the 2 days, if we stick to the contractual framework of the vendors, there's not enough time to read it, to understand it, to negotiate it. So the only thing is, we just trust we don't read it. And then everybody was mind blown. It was like, but again, are you on drugs? I said, no, look, my idea is, we come up with a 1-pager, they ended up with 3, where we have all the things that are super relevant to us. When to raise the price and other aspects. And we put that in first priority. So if everything down the contractual framework is against it, it will be overwritten, kind of. And that's true agility. That was thinking outside of the box. I would never, ever come to this. Right? That's what we are looking for. Another awesome and crazy idea is, because I put that because you guys, some of you guys are in hardware is from Echo. Echo is second biggest manufacturer in agriculture, so they build tractors and stuff. And we were engaged for a savings program, and I said, no, we don't do savings. We are looking for added value and innovation and so on. And they were like, we have the task for savings. I said, yeah, what if we can do both? So we again set up a cross-functional team, and they came up with the weird idea. We like this collaborative approach from the big room and so on. So what they came up with, they called it Agile Product Clinic, is basically they took a tractor into its pieces in a big hall, invited internal marketing, product management, people from the line, their existing vendors, partners, plus competitors. So it was a kind of a competitive setting. And they asked them, please visit all those parts and components and think about it. What could be done better? Less parts, better materials, the production method, the tooling we're using, and so on. So this is kind of cross-company innovation. They are not agile at all. Don't be scared. They're not yet there. But it's a little pilot that brought a lot of value and gave this first idea, hey, that there's even more in a partnership than just giving them an order, build that we specified. So long story short, in a partnership and with the Lean Agile Procurement Alliance, we have more than 20 partners. We are iterating. What? So we are applying the principles of Scrum to develop a partnership. So with Scott Ambler, the former head of Discipline Agile, we meet every other week, every two-week sprints. Do we have a partner agreement signed yet? No. We are still finding out since 2 years how we can develop the partnership, how we can create little bits and pieces to create win-win situations. Sometimes I give more, we give more, otherwise he, and sometimes we come up with shared ideas. So it's this cadence where we can also develop the partnership and minimize risk at the same time. Good accountant management do that already, right? They have no idea about it. So, long story short, what's in for we, what's in for us, what's in for me as an agile coach, as a procurement professional, in all of that? Well, first of all, have a vision how to collaborate. Not just for your product, but also for your operating model. And most likely, it will look much different than today. Not sure if you still will have hierarchies, if you take it to that other extreme, but most likely, it will be no more a static supply chain. It will become much more adaptive. And I'm a strong believer that we are heading in partner ecosystems. Second is, invest in capabilities. I mean, in procurement, currently you're undertaking a lot of initiatives in digitalization, making the supplier contract data transparent, and so forth. Also, automation of procurement processes. So once in a while, the whole operation part, the monkey job part of the procurement will be gone. And what will be left is the more interesting part, the fun part, the strategic part. And we need to get ready for that. Now, for you agile guys, get in touch with procurement guys. Get in touch with commercial people. They might not have an idea that you exist, that you have recipes, that you have practices, that you have ideas that will help them out. I recently just had joined a meeting for the biggest insurance in Australia. We brought the CPO, so it's not the chief product owner, it's a chief procurement officer, together with the internal agile practice. They never met before. We explained them a little bit of what we are doing, and he was, after 20 minutes, he was like, what are we waiting for? I have tons of potential pilot cases, we can kick off tomorrow. So it's also an opportunity for you guys, internal agile guys, externals, to go in a domain that is not so highly competitive. And then last but not least, if you are undertaking an agile transformation right now, start to think about who are our key partners outside of our building, third-party partners. And maybe if you are in manufacturing, they're still in their lean transition. Now think about lean and agile. Same sources, same principles, but it doesn't fit, right? And you are just as agile as your partners are. So start to onboard them as well. And the impact is huge. Huge. Say it again. Impact is huge. No matter if you are in the private or public sector, commercial people are responsible for a lot of money. We still can argue, are they the right people? Should they own the budget or not? And do we really have to have budgets? That's a completely other discussion. But currently they have. And I think we need to kickstart this conversation as well. Beside that, I personally think, yeah, it's commercially interesting. Now with this ERP case, we showcased that improving time to market by 400% is easily possible. You have cases where we improve time to market by 800%, which means millions to the business. We are faster than the competitors. So commercially it's interesting, but even more than that, I think there are other aspects like sustainability, circular economy, you name it. Procurement claims to be responsible for that as well. And that's not just commercial. If we could, for example, I mentioned in this one case, Disabled People Organization, New Zealand government started to extend the selection criteria that Maori, so the native people, if they are selected or if a company supports employment of the native people, they get higher rankings. Or if they have a certain level of sustainability certification and so forth. Now think about it. People often underestimate on the buyer side the power they could have along down the supply chain. Suppliers will follow. So the impact is even much bigger than that. Like Steve Jobs, there is one more thing. It's not just wearing the black t-shirt. There's one more thing. It's more for the agile guys. Transforming a supportive organization, a service kind of organization like HR, finance, procurement, sales is something completely different than the delivery organization. I will share with you a white paper, call it a survival guide, with some further examples that explain the different stages. If you just implement SAFe or any other framework, you're somewhere here. And it's a critical tipping point that you are not manifesting the functional silos, right? So there is more to this journey. So this is us, Lean Agile Procurement Alliance. They're still looking for trainers. We are in partnering with We Are Movement, so these guys are our local partners, and we are also having a joint workshop with them soon in April. So I would love to see some of you there. And other than that, thank you very much for your interest, for being here, and I'm looking forward for the beer. There you can find the slides, the white paper, and so forth. There's a little survey, just 3 questions involved. Fast feedback. Sorry, guys. Thank you very much.